There's a lot of things we really don't want to face, and there's different reasons for different stuff. When you look at one person and see things in them that you don't like, you might look at yourself and say, well, there's things about me I don't like. But you're still going to go out of your way and let this person know that you don't like these things about this person, where you might go to somebody else and tell them about this person, whatever. But something weird is going on, and it centers around technology mostly because my daughters have had tablets for years. I just bought some like 4 months ago. All four of them broke within a week. And they're $120 a piece. So then my kids lost their tablets, and the TV just isn't enough. So now I have four daughters that were completely calm when they were on their tablets, and now they're going freaking crazy. And it's like even my wife says they changed so dramatically since they haven't had their tablets. It's almost a nightmare. It's like, how did this change happen so quick? And I'm thinking, I go outside, and I've lived in this house for a year, and I look around and I'm thinking, how many times have I seen my neighbors communicate with each other? Well, you don't see most communication these days. I mean, you look at somebody on their phone, you're thinking, well, they might be communicating with somebody, or they might be watching a video. How do you know? So, how do we know that people are actually communicating? And how many of us even really think about it anymore? We're so into our phones, right? We're into what's going on. We're into getting them dopamine hits and trying to keep our brain from turning off. Going into that default mode. You're going in a default mode, and your body doesn't know if it's relaxing or if it's overstressed, but all you know is you don't want to move. And then you got things like I had a car, and I was taking one of my wife's friends to her house. Hit a damn deer. Okay, try not to associate it with doing a favor for a friend, because that wasn't even my drive, and I'm thinking, well, I want to pin the blame on, doing the favor for a friend, and that's just how my mind works, because everybody's always done it to me. Something goes wrong while they're doing something for me, somehow it's my fault. So I do it to other people, automatically. And I got to catch myself on that because, well, that's a dead end street. What are you going to do? All you're going to do is push people away, get them pissed off, and then they're going to tell everybody. It's like, in my mind, I really don't give a shit. Like, I want to save my peace of mind, but at the same time, I'm thinking, okay, wisdom would say that if nothing comes out of it, then maybe it's not worth saying, right? I could punch a brick wall, but only one of us is getting hurt. So when you overextend yourself like that, when you're trying to prove a point and you're not hurting them, and it's going to piss you off because now your fist is bloody from hitting the wall that should have been hurt, not you, right? Because that's our mind works weird like that. And then I was given a ride to someone else, and they wanted to pick a song on my phone, and so I did, and they handed my phone back to me, and I went to skip the advertisement and look up, and bam, deer. Didn't have a chance. It's like that moment was like so precise that even mathematics couldn't have figured that one out. It was more precise than mathematics. I'm telling you. It's like standing in the middle of a desert and having a golf ball come down from, outer space and going right through your skull. It's like the chances of that, even mathematics themselves in our mind could not work themselves out. That's how it seemed, and we constantly want to put that blame because we're programmed by other people, narcissists and that. to pin the blame on somebody else. Why are we going to take the blame? That means we have to do the mathematical work of um, figuring out the human psychology behind it, way too many things. I mean, you would have to literally go back into this person's childhood to figure out their actual intention of what they say. Because most people don't just come up with spontaneous reasons for what they say. Now, people like me do. A lot of times I'll say something, think back, and I could see that being understood 10 different ways. And which one am I going to assume that this person's taking it? Well, I have to think about the people that are around them and how they've thought before, so I can understand how the higher probabilities of how they might take it. Even Neil one day says, well, we can't figure out percentages or whatever in our head. And I'm thinking, oh, we can make some pretty good assumptions. And it's not just guesses. We're taking a lot of information into those guesses. It's like intuition, and it's not like I see a number pop into my head and that's what it is. No, I'm evaluating. I'm waiting for, kind of like a sponge sitting in water, soaking up the water. And the water might have more defining elements that I didn't think of before. So basically, though, like once I lost my car, it was like kind of like when my kids lost the tablets. Something happened to my brain that this repetitiveness of how I've acted in the past, it's not just my behaviors. My behaviors are directly wired to how I think. And if I don't know how I'm thinking because I'm, spreading my focus between so many things, then how can I focus on one thing and actually work out that problem, right? And then when you isolate, you're thinking you're the only one that can figure out this problem. I mean, I look on social media and I'm like, I don't see anything to what I think my brain is looking for. Oh man, my life is such a contradiction. Well, why do you know exactly how I feel?